My son sold my $1.5 million house while I was unconscious from surgery, then gave me $18,000 and said, "That's your retirement fund now, Dad." I'm Jethro Wilson, and my own son just stole from me while I was helpless in a hospital bed. Danny thought I was a broke 70-year-old contractor who needed his help. He sold my house to his business partner for under asking price, kept the difference, and had the nerve to call it a family commission. Then he started shopping for my nursing home. But Danny made one fatal mistake. He never bothered to check what his old man was actually worth. When he bragged about saving me from financial ruin at our family barbecue, I decided to show him exactly how much money he was stealing from. Let's just say $4 million gets people's attention real quick. That $18,000 theft was about to cost him everything he thought he'd built. If you've ever been betrayed by family, smash that subscribe button and tell me your story in the comments. You're going to want to hear how this ends. This nightmare started the morning of my hip surgery, September 15th, 2024. I'm wheeled into Ohio Health for hip replacement surgery at 6:30 a.m. The surgeon tells me I'll be out for 3 hours, recovery for 2 weeks minimum. Danny drives me there in his metallic blue BMW X5. Leased, of course. "Don't worry about anything, Dad," he says, adjusting his designer sunglasses. "I've got everything handled while you're down." I should have paid attention to that word, handled. See, Danny thinks he knows my situation. 68-year-old retiree living alone in a 3-bedroom ranch. No wife since Mom passed 5 years ago. Medical bills piling up. Hip surgery isn't cheap, even with Medicare. To him, I'm just another aging contractor who worked with his hands his whole life and never learned about real money. Real estate development, investment strategies, modern finance. "Dad, you still balance your checkbook by hand," he'd said the week before surgery. "Let me help you navigate this stuff." I let him talk. Danny's always been a talker. What he saw: a 1987 ranch house on Maple Street, 1,847 square feet. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, Craftsman kitchen cabinets I built myself in the garage over 3 weekends. What he calculated: elderly father, medical expenses, probably needs assisted living soon anyway. What he didn't see: the foundation. During recovery, Danny visits every other day. Brings me groceries from Kroger. Updates me on his latest development projects. Always talks about money. His money, my money, everyone's money. "You know, Dad, the housing market's really hot right now," he says on day 4, September 19th. I'm still using the chrome walker with tennis ball feet. "Might be smart to cash out while prices are peak." I nod. Let him talk. "That house is probably worth 1.5 mil easy. Maybe more. Think about it. You could downsize to a nice condo, put the difference in bonds or something safe. Live comfortably." "Bonds," I repeat. "Exactly. 4% annually guaranteed. Better than keeping all your wealth tied up in real estate." All my wealth. I almost smiled. September 22nd, Danny brings paperwork. Real estate listing agreement with his buddy Finn Morrison from Morrison Properties. "Just preliminary stuff, Dad. Finn will give us a fair market analysis. No obligations." The papers smell like fresh printer ink. Danny's put sticky notes everywhere I need to sign. 1.5 asking price sound reasonable?" he asks. I sign where he points. My handwriting's still shaky from the pain medication. September 26th. Danny's excited. "We got an offer, Dad. 1.482. It's close to asking." "How close?" 18,000 under, but Dad, in this market, that's essentially full price. We should take it. 18,000. I file that number away. "The buyer's pre-approved, cash ready to close. We could have this wrapped up by Friday." Friday is September 28th. "What's the rush?" I ask. "No rush, just efficiency. Why let it sit on the market when we have a solid offer?" "Trust me, Dad. This is good business." That phrase. Trust me, Dad. I'm still on the walker. Still taking medication twice daily. Still sleeping 12 hours because my body's repairing itself. "Do what you think is best," I tell him. Danny grins. "That's what I'm here for." But I wasn't as helpless as he thought. Those phone calls I was making while he ran errands, those weren't to Medicare about coverage disputes. And that manila envelope I kept by my bedside? It wasn't medical paperwork. Danny assumed he was helping his old man navigate modern real estate. What he was actually doing was about to become very, very clear. October 1st, 3 days after Danny closed the sale. I'm sitting at my kitchen table, the one I built from reclaimed barn wood in 1993, reading the final closing documents. The buyer paid $1,482,000. Danny sits across from me, coffee mug in hand, regular Folgers. He's explaining the transaction like I'm a child learning arithmetic. So, after agent commissions, closing costs, and fees, you're looking at about 1.38 net, he says. Not bad for a house you bought for $43,087. What about the $18,000 difference? Danny shifts in his chair, the one that creaks because I've been meaning to fix it for 6 months. Well, Dad, that's where I earned a little compensation for managing everything. Think of it as a family discount rate for real estate services. Family discount rate. You took $18,000. I facilitated $18,000 worth of value, coordinated the whole sale while you recovered, saved you weeks of showings and negotiations. This is where the stakes become clear. It's not just about $18,000, though that's a month of groceries for most retirees. It's about precedent. If I let this slide, Danny thinks he can manage my finances, make decisions for my own good, treat me like someone who needs a guardian instead of someone who raised him. What's next? I ask. Well, now we find you a nice place. I've been looking at Sunset Manor. Great community, includes meals, housekeeping. About $3,000 monthly. $3,000 monthly is $36,000 annually. My supposed net from the house sale would last about 38 years at that rate, if I live to be 106. Sounds expensive? Dad, you can afford it. You just cleared over $1 million. But that's where Danny's math gets interesting. He assumes the house sale represents my entire financial situation. 68-year-old contractor sells family home, moves to assisted living, lives modestly on the proceeds. Neat, simple, manageable. What he doesn't know is that managing Jethro Wilson's finances is like trying to captain a ship when you can only see the tip of the mast above water. The calls I've been making, they're to my attorney, Selena Davis. I've known Selena for 15 years. She handled the paperwork when I incorporated Wilson Properties, LLC back in 2009. The manila envelope by my bedside? Property deeds. 3 of them. Danny sees a retired contractor. Selena Davis sees a client with a business portfolio that might surprise a few people. But I'm not ready to reveal that yet. First, I need to understand exactly what Danny thinks he's accomplished. Tell me about this commission, I say. Dad, real estate's complicated. Pricing, negotiations, contracts. I saved you from getting taken advantage of. By taking $18,000. By earning $18,000 for professional services. There's that word again. Earning. What if other family members heard about this arrangement? Danny laughs. Dad, it's not like we're broadcasting it. This is between us. Between us. That's what makes this personal. See, if I stay quiet, Danny establishes a new normal. Jethro Wilson, the old man who needs help with big decisions. Danny Wilson, the son who knows better. Family relationships have power structures, just like business partnerships. Once someone decides they're the senior partner, they start making unilateral decisions. Next month, Danny might decide I need help with my banking. Maybe he notices I'm getting forgetful, which I'm not, and suggests he handle bill paying. 6 months from now, he might recommend I sign over power of attorney. For my own protection, of course. A year from now, I'm the elderly father whose son manages everything while I play checkers at Sunset Manor and pretend I remember my construction days. That's not happening. But there's a right way and a wrong way to handle family business. The wrong way is screaming about theft and betrayal at the kitchen table. That makes me look exactly like the angry old man Danny expects. The right way is what I learned building houses for 4 decades. Measure twice, cut once. I've been measuring for 2 weeks. Time to cut. Danny, why don't you explain this commission to everyone at Janet's barbecue this weekend? Dad, it's not really their business. I think it is. Family likes to know how family helps family. Danny's coffee mug stops halfway to his mouth. What do you mean? I mean, let's see how your math sounds when you explain it to your cousins. That $18,000 just became very expensive. October 5th. Danny calls around noon. Dad, I've been thinking about the barbecue thing. What about it? Maybe we don't need to get into all the financial details with everyone. I'm sitting on my front porch watching my neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, walk her golden retriever. Same route every day at 12:15. Some things you can count on. Why not? It's just, family gatherings aren't really the place for business discussions. Since when? Silence on Danny's end. He's probably in his leased BMW stuck in Columbus traffic, realizing his $18,000 commission might not sound as professional to a room full of relatives. Dad, look. The important thing is you got a great price for the house. $18,000 under asking. In this market, that's basically full price. Is that what you'll tell them? Tell who? Uncle Rick, Cousin Janet, Selena. Another pause. Selena Davis always comes to Janet's barbecues. She's been family lawyer and family friend for 15 years. Selena doesn't need to know the specifics of our arrangement. Our arrangement. That's what Danny's calling it now. What would you call it? A standard family consultation fee. For what consultation? Dad, I researched the market, found the buyer, handled the negotiations, with your buddy Finn Morrison. Finn's a licensed realtor, who sold to his development partner. Long pause. Traffic noise in the background. What are you getting at, Dad? I'm getting at $18,000 that disappeared between the asking price and my bank account. It didn't disappear. I explained the commission structure. Explain it again. Dad, we've been through this. Humor me. Danny sighs. Real estate transactions involve coordination, market analysis, contract review, professional services. How much does Finn Morrison normally charge? 6% split between buyer and seller agents. 6% of $1.482 million is about $89,000. So Finn made $89,000 and you made $18,000. Dad, it's not that simple. Seems simple to me. Your buddy Finn gets paid market rate. You get paid whatever you decide to take. Look, I could have charged a lot more for managing this whole thing. There it is. The entitlement starts showing through. Could have charged me more. I could have insisted on standard consulting fees for selling my house, for protecting your interests. I stand up from the porch chair. Mrs. Peterson and her dog are headed back toward Elm Street. Danny, whose name was on the deed? Yours, obviously. Whose house was it? Dad, what's your point? My point is, you took $18,000 from the sale of my house and called it a commission. I earned $18,000 managing your sale. Did you tell the buyer you were taking a commission? Silence. Did you tell Finn Morrison? More silence. Did you tell anyone besides me? Dad, it's not. Look, this is family business. That's right. It is family business, so let's discuss it with the family. I really think we should keep this between us. Why? Because they won't understand the complexities. Which complexities? Dad, you're making this sound like something it's not. What am I making it sound like? Like I stole from you. I sit back down. The chair rocks slightly. I installed the chains myself in 2012. Danny, did you steal from me? I provided professional services. That I didn't request. That you needed. According to who? According to... Dad, you're 68 years old. You've never sold a house at this price point. And you have? I'm in real estate development. Small-scale residential development. It's still real estate. So is building houses. I've been doing that since before you were born. Building is different from selling. How? Market analysis, pricing strategies, negotiation tactics. What market analysis did you do? I researched comparable sales. Where? Online databases? Which ones? Dad, this is getting ridiculous. I'm just trying to understand the $18,000 worth of professional services. Look, bought Jethro line, you got a fair price and a smooth transaction. $18,000 under asking is fair? In this market, yes. Says who? Says every real estate professional, including the one who bought the house? Another pause. What do you mean? I mean Morrison Properties. Your buddy Finn's company. They're the buyer. They're buying for a client. What client? I don't know the specifics. You don't know who bought my house? Dad, these things go through LLCs. It's standard practice. So Finn Morrison's company bought my house for $18,000 under asking, and you took that $18,000 as a commission. That's not... You're oversimplifying. Am I? Yes. Then explain it to everyone at the barbecue. Dad, if it's legitimate, you shouldn't have any problem explaining it. It's not about legitimacy, it's about privacy. Whose privacy? Yours, mine, the family's. I think the family can handle it. What if they can't? What if they can't what? What if they don't understand? Then you can explain it better. Danny goes quiet for almost 30 seconds. Dad, I'm trying to help you here. I know you are. So can we just keep this simple? Sure. You explain the simple version to everyone Saturday. And if I don't want to, then I will. That $18,000 just got a lot more complicated. October 8th, 3 days before the barbecue. I'm in my garage, organizing tools on the pegboard I installed in 1995. Everything has its place. Socket wrenches arranged by size, screwdrivers grouped by type, measuring tapes lined up shortest to longest. Organization matters when you're building something that needs to last. My phone rings. Unknown Columbus number. Mr. Wilson? This is Letitia at First National Ohio. I have your quarterly statements ready for pickup. Which statements? The business account statements you requested. Wilson Properties, LLC. I'll be in Thursday morning. Perfect. I'll have them at the Coos Jethro service desk. I hang up. Go back to organizing. 20 minutes later, another call. This time I recognize the number. Jethro, it's Selena Davis. Do you have a few minutes? Sure. I reviewed those documents you asked about. Everything looks in order. Good. When do you want to proceed? Saturday night, after the barbecue. Are you sure about the timing? I'm sure. Jethro, this might come as a shock to some people. It should. Okay, I'll prepare everything. I hang up and continue with the tools. Danny's impact driver is still here from when he helped me replace the deck boards last spring. He'd forgotten it. I should probably give it back. Then again, maybe I'll hold on to it for now. Wednesday afternoon, Danny stops by. He's wearing khakis and a polo shirt. Wednesday afternoon, and he's not at a job site. Must be nice. Dad, I've been thinking about Saturday. What about it? Maybe we could just keep things light. Family time, you know? I like family time. Right, so maybe no business talk. I'm wiping down my circular saw with a clean rag. Makita model 5007 milligrams. 7¼ inch blade. Bought it in 2018. Still cuts like new because I maintain it properly. What kind of business talk? You know what I mean. Actually, I don't. Danny sits on my workbench, the one I built in 2003 from leftover lumber from the Johnson remodel job. The commission thing. You mean your $18,000? Dad, can we please move past this? Have we moved past it? I thought we had. When did we move past it? I explained the whole situation. You explained that you took $18,000. I explained that I earned $18,000. Same thing. Not the same thing. I hang the circular saw back on its hook, right between the jigsaw and the reciprocating saw. Danny, what do you think I'm worth? What do you mean? Financially. What do you think my net worth is? He shifts on the workbench. Dad, that's not really my business. You made it your business when you sold my house. That's different. How? That was helping with a specific transaction. Based on your assessment of my financial situation. Based on the obvious need to liquidate your primary asset. Liquidate my primary asset. Danny's been reading real estate blogs. What if it's not my primary asset? Dad, it's your house. Of course it's your primary asset. What if it's not? Danny laughs. What else would it be? You're retired. You live on Social Security and maybe some savings. Maybe some savings. Right. So the house represents the majority of your wealth. I walk over to my filing cabinet. Metal, 4 drawers, beige. Bought it at an office supply liquidation in 2011. Danny, how much do you think contractors make? I don't know. Decent living if they're good. How much is decent? 50, 60,000 a year? What about successful contractors? Maybe 80,000 in a good year. What about contractors who've been in business for 40 years? Dad, where are you going with this? I open the top drawer of the filing cabinet. Pull out a manila folder labeled Quarterly Reports, 2024. Just curious about your assumptions. My assumptions about what? About my financial situation. Danny stands up from the workbench. Dad, I'm not trying to pry into your finances, but you made decisions based on them. I made one decision, to help you sell your house, and take $18,000. We've been through this, have we? I close the filing cabinet drawer. The folder goes back in my hand. Danny, are you coming to the barbecue Saturday? Of course. Good. I think people will enjoy hearing about your real estate work. Dad, please. Can we just have a normal family gathering? We will. Without the drama? What drama? The whole commission thing. It's not drama if it's true. Danny heads toward the garage door. I'll see you Saturday. Bring Letitia. Why? I'd like her to hear about your business success. He stops at the door. Dad, what are you planning? Planning? You're acting like you have some kind of surprise. I hang up the clean rag on its hook, next to the others, everything in its place. No surprises, Danny, just family time. But those phone calls I'd been making weren't to Medicare, and that manila folder wasn't going back in the filing cabinet. October 12th, Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Janet's backyard looks the same as always. Weber Genesis grill on the deck, checkered tablecloth on the picnic table, cooler full of Budweiser and Diet Coke, folding chairs arranged in a rough circle around the fire pit, Standard Wilson family barbecue. I arrive at 2:45, carrying a bag of ice and my chrome walker. Hips still healing, but I'm moving better. Janet hugs me at the gate. Uncle Jethro, how are you feeling? Better every day. Danny told us about the house sale. Big changes. Some changes. Rick's already at the grill, flipping burgers. Jethro, heard you're a millionaire now. Everyone laughs, including Danny, who's standing by the cooler with a beer in his hand and Letitia at his side. Not quite, I say. Close enough, Danny calls out. Dad got a great price. Selena Davis arrives at 3:15, black leather portfolio in hand, gold initials stamped on the front. She hugs me and whispers, everything ready? Ready. We eat around 4. Burgers, potato salad, Janet's famous baked beans. Normal family conversation. Danny's development projects. Rick's retirement plans. Letitia's nursing job at Mount Carmel. Nobody mentions $18,000. Yet. Around 4:30, Janet brings out homemade apple pie. Everyone's relaxed. Full Jethro's, easy conversation. That's when Danny decides to get comfortable. You know, he says, leaning back in his folding chair, Dad's been pretty smart about this whole house thing. How so? Asks Rick. Well, he realized he needed to downsize. Medical expenses, maintenance costs, made sense to cash out while the market's hot. Smart thinking, says Janet. Plus, I was able to help him navigate the process. Real estate's complicated these days. Letitia nods. Danny knows all about market analysis and pricing strategies. Selena Davis raises an eyebrow but doesn't say anything. What'd you end up getting? Rick asks. Danny grins. 1.482. Not bad for a house Dad bought for $43,000. Wow, says Janet. That's incredible appreciation. Right? And Dad was smart to accept an offer slightly under asking. In this market, you don't want to get greedy. Slightly under asking. That's how Danny's describing $18,000 now. How much under? Asks Selena. Danny shifts in his chair. Just a few thousand. Nothing significant. How much exactly? I ask. Everyone turns to look at me. I'm sitting in my folding chair, eating apple pie with a plastic fork. Dad, it's not important. I think it's important. Why? Because accuracy matters. Danny laughs nervously. Dad, nobody cares about the exact numbers. I care, says Selena. Me too, says Rick. Danny's grin starts fading. It was $18,000 under asking. 18,000? Janet repeats. That's not a few thousand, says Rick. In real estate terms, it's close to asking, Danny explains. 18,000 is 18,000, says Selena. Danny takes a long drink of beer. The important thing is Dad got a fair deal. How do you know it was fair, I ask. Because I researched the market. What research? Dad, we don't need to get into all the details. I'd like to hear the details, says Selena. Danny looks around the circle. Everyone's listening now. No more casual conversation. I analyzed comparable sales, market trends, pricing patterns. Where? Asks Selena. Online databases? Which ones? Standard real estate databases. Like MLS? Among others. Selena opens her black portfolio, pulls out a single sheet of paper. I pulled the MLS data for your father's address. The comparable sales show an average price of $1.51 million. Your father's house sold for $1.482. Everyone's quiet. So Dad actually sold below market, says Janet. By $19,000, says Rick. Danny's face is getting red. Those comparisons don't account for condition differences. What condition differences? I ask. Dad, your house needed work. What kind of work? Updates. Modernization. Like what? Kitchen updates, bathroom renovations. I set down my plastic fork. Danny, I remodeled the kitchen in 2021, bathroom in 2022. Minor updates aren't the same as full renovations. What full renovations? Professional-grade updates that increase market value. Selena consults her paper again. The listing description mentions Jethro kitchen cabinets and recently updated bathrooms. Those are Dad's amateur projects, Danny says. Amateur projects. The backyard goes very quiet. Even the neighbor's dog stops barking. Amateur projects? I repeat. Dad, you know what I mean. DIY work versus professional contractors. I am a professional contractor. You were a professional contractor. I'm still licensed. Dad, that's not... Look, the point is we got a good price under the circumstances. What circumstances? An aging house with amateur updates in a declining neighborhood. Declining neighborhood. Rick sets down his beer. Danny, Jethro built half this neighborhood. That was 30 years ago. So construction standards have changed. Janet stares at her nephew. Are you saying Uncle Jethro doesn't know how to build things? I'm saying today's buyers expect modern construction techniques. I stand up from my folding chair. Everyone watches. Danny, who bought the house? A development company. Which development company? I don't remember the exact name. Selina flips to another page in her portfolio. Morrison Properties, LLC. Finn Morrison, principal. Right, Morrison Properties. Your business partner, Finn Morrison, says Selina. He's not my business partner. You've done 3 joint projects with Morrison Properties in the last 2 years. Danny's beer bottle stops halfway to his mouth. How do you know that? Public records. Selina, why are you looking up public records? Because Jethro asked me to. Everyone turns to look at me again. Danny, I say, explain your math. What math? 18,000 under asking. To your business partner, who you didn't disclose. Dad, it's not that simple. Explain it. The market analysis justified the price. What market analysis? I told you. Comparable sales. Show me. What? Show me the market analysis that justified selling to your business partner for 18,000 under asking. Danny looks around the circle. Nobody's smiling anymore. I don't have it with me. Why not? Because it's business paperwork. Whose business? Mine. Who paid you for this business? Long pause. Dad, you're making this sound... Who paid you? You did, indirectly, through the reduced sale price. I paid you $18,000? You saved $18,000 in commissions by using family. Saved $18,000, I repeat. Right. By selling for $18,000 under asking. That's not... You're twisting it. I look around the circle. At Janet, at Rick, at Letitia, at Selina. Does that math sound right to anyone else? Nobody answers. That's when I decide it's time to show Danny what real math looks like. Selina, I say, would you mind getting that portfolio from my truck? Of course. Selina walks toward my 2019 Ford F-250, the truck Danny always jokes about. Why do you need such a big truck, Dad? You're not hauling materials anymore. She returns with a manila envelope, the one from my bedside table, the one Danny thought was medical paperwork. Danny, I say, still standing by my folding chair, you said I needed to liquidate my primary asset. Right. The house represented most of your wealth. Most of my wealth. Obviously. I open the manila envelope, pull out the first document. This is the deed to 814 Elm Street, 3-bedroom ranch. Purchased 1998 for $65,000. Current assessed value, $920,000. Danny blinks. What? Rental property. Elm Street. I pull out the second document. This is the deed to 1226 Oak Avenue, 4-bedroom colonial, purchased 2004 for $112,000. Current assessed value, $950,000. Dad, what are you? Rental property, Oak Avenue. Third document. This is the deed to 707 Pine Street, 2-bedroom bungalow, purchased 2007 for $89,000. Current assessed value, $830,000. The backyard is completely silent. 3 rental properties, says Janet quietly. Total assessed value, $2,700,000. I continue. Danny's beer bottle slips from his hand. It hits the grass with a soft thud. But that's not all. I reach into the envelope again. Selina, would you read the next document? Selina takes the paper. Wilson Family Trust, established 2009. Current assets, $890,000. $890,000, repeats Rick. In trust assets, I clarify. Danny stands up from his folding chair. Dad, I don't understand. Don't understand what... Where did all this come from? 40 years of construction work. But you never told me. You never asked. I pull out another document. Wilson Properties, LLC, Business Bank Statement. First National, Ohio. Current balance, $340,000. $340,000, whispers Letitia. Business account, I explain. Danny's face has gone completely white. Dad, this doesn't make sense. Which part doesn't make sense? You live you drive an old truck. You shop at Kroger. You fix things yourself instead of hiring people. That's how I saved money to buy rental properties. But why didn't you tell me? Why would I? Because I'm your son. You're also a real estate developer who just took $18,000 from selling my house. The math is starting to hit everyone. Janet speaks first. Uncle Jethro, you own 4 properties? I own 4 properties, worth almost $4 million, plus the trust fund, plus the business account. Rick does the calculation out loud.
2.7 million in real estate, 890,000 in trust, 340,000 in business. That's almost 4 million. 4,029,000, says Selena. Danny sits back down, hard. Danny, I say, what was that you said about liquidating my primary asset? I thought the house was all you had. Why did you think that? Because you live simply. Living simply is how I built wealth. But Dad, if you have all this money, why didn't you just pay for the hip surgery out of pocket? I did pay for it out of pocket. Medicare covers most of it, and I paid the rest from the business account. Then why sell the house? I wasn't planning to sell the house. But you signed the listing agreement.
You brought me the listing agreement while I was on pain medication. Danny looks around the circle. Everyone's staring at him. Dad, I was trying to help. Help with what? Your financial situation. What financial situation? I thought you were struggling. Based on what? Based on how you live. How do I live? Modestly. Modestly is why I have $4 million. The silence stretches for almost 30 seconds. Letitia finally speaks. Danny, did you know about any of this? No. Did you ask about it before selling his house? No. Did you think to check his financial situation before taking $18,000? Danny doesn't answer. Selena opens her portfolio again. Jethro, should I explain the next steps? Please. I've prepared a formal complaint with the Ohio Real Estate Commission regarding undisclosed conflicts of interest in the Maple Street sale. What conflicts of interest? Danny asks. You sold your father's house to your business partner for below market value and took a commission without disclosure to any party. I disclosed it to Dad after the sale closed. That's still disclosure. Post-transaction disclosure of self-dealing doesn't meet fiduciary standards. Rick leans forward in his folding chair. Danny, are you in trouble? Danny looks at Selena. What kind of trouble? Potentially professional sanctions, possibly civil liability. Civil liability for what? Breach of fiduciary duty, self-dealing, undisclosed conflicts of interest. I'm not a licensed real estate agent. You don't have to be licensed to violate fiduciary duty to a family member. Danny turns to me. Dad, you're not seriously going to sue me. I'm not suing anyone. Then what's this about? It's about establishing boundaries. What boundaries? The boundary where you don't take $18,000 from family members. But I explained... You explained that you took $18,000. You didn't explain why you thought that was acceptable. Danny looks around the circle again. Nobody's making eye contact with him. Dad, can we talk about this privately? We are talking about it privately. This is family. I mean, just us. Why? Because this is between father and son. Is it? Of course it is. I look at Janet, at Rick, at Letitia, at Selena. Danny, when you took $18,000 from selling my house, did you think about how that would affect the family? What do you mean? I mean, if you can take $18,000 from me, what stops you from taking money from Janet, or Rick, or anyone else who trusts you? That's different. How? Because you're my father. That makes it better or worse? Danny doesn't answer. Let me ask you something else, I continue. What were you planning to do next? What do you mean? I mean, after you moved me into Sunset Manor for $3,000 a month, what was next? Nothing was next. Were you going to help me manage the monthly payments? If you needed help. For a fee? Dad, that's not... Were you going to help me invest the remaining money? Silence. Were you going to help me with tax planning, estate planning, medical decisions? More silence. All for fees, of course. Family discount rates. Danny's hands are shaking slightly. That's not what I was planning. What were you planning? I was planning to help you transition to retirement living. Transition from what? From home ownership to assisted living. Why? Because I thought that's what you needed. Based on what? Based on your age and health situation. My age and health situation. Dad, you're 68 and you just had hip surgery. I'm 68 with $4 million and a successful business. I didn't know about the $4 million because you didn't ask. How was I supposed to know to ask? The same way you knew to take $18,000. That hits home. Rick stands up from his chair. Danny, I think you owe your father an apology. For what? For assuming he needed your help. I was trying to be helpful. By taking his money, by managing a complex transaction. That he didn't ask you to manage. Danny looks at Letitia. She's staring at her hands. Letitia, he says, you understand, right? I was trying to help. She looks up. Danny, You took $18,000 from your father. I earned $18,000. How? By facilitating the sale. That he didn't want? He signed the papers. While he was on pain medication. Danny stands up again. This is ridiculous. Dad, tell them you understood what you were signing. I fold up the property deeds and put them back in the manila envelope. Danny, I understood exactly what I was signing. Then what's the problem? The problem is you understood exactly what you were taking. That $18,000 just became the most expensive money Danny Wilson ever earned. Monday morning, October 14th, 8:30 a.m. My phone rings. Danny, Dad, we need to talk. About what? About Saturday. About the whole situation. I'm sitting at my kitchen table reading the Columbus Dispatch business section. There's an article about real estate development trends in Central Ohio. What about the situation? Dad, I think there's been a misunderstanding. What kind of misunderstanding? About the commission, about my intentions. What were your intentions? Long pause. I was trying to help you. By taking $18,000. By managing a complex sale. Danny, the sale wasn't complex. Your business partner bought my house for below market value and you took the difference. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Another pause. Dad, what do you want from me? I want you to understand what you did. I understand what I did. I helped you sell your house. You helped yourself to $18,000. Can we move past this? Can we move past what? The whole commission thing. Have you returned the $18,000? Dad, that's not realistic. Why not? Because I provided legitimate services to yourself, to you, services I didn't request, services you needed. I set down the newspaper. Danny, I'm going to explain something to you once. After that, we're going to implement some new family policies. What policies? First policy, no more financial help from you. Dad, that's not necessary. I'll handle my own real estate transactions. But Dad, I'll handle my own investment decisions. You might need advice. I'll get advice from Selena Davis. Selena's a lawyer, not a financial advisor. Selena's been managing my business legal work for 15 years. That's different from financial planning. Danny, I don't need financial planning from someone who steals $18,000. I didn't steal. Second policy. No more access to my financial information. Dad, what if there's an emergency? Then I'll handle the emergency. What if you can't? Then Selena Davis will handle the emergency. Dad, that's not practical. It's more practical than letting you handle it. Third pause. Longer this time. Dad, are you cutting me out of your life? I'm cutting you out of my finances. What's the difference? The difference is you can still be my son without being my financial manager. I was never trying to be your financial manager. You took $18,000 from selling my house for services rendered to your business partner. Dad, please, can we just start over? Start over how? Forget about the commission. Focus on family. The commission is part of family now. It doesn't have to be. Danny, it's $18,000. It's not disappearing. So what happens now? Now you live with the consequences. What consequences? Selena filed the complaint with the Ohio Real Estate Commission this morning. Silence. Dad, you can't be serious. I'm serious. Over $18,000? Over the principle. What principle? The principle that family members don't steal from each other. I didn't steal. And they don't take advantage of medical situations. I was helping. And they don't make financial decisions for people without permission. Dad, I had your permission. You had my signature on documents you brought me while I was on pain medication. That's still permission. Danny, would you sign financial documents while you were on Percocet? No answer. Would you let someone make financial decisions for you while you were recovering from surgery? Still no answer. Would you trust someone who took $18,000 from your house sale? Dad, this is different. How? Because I'm your son. That makes it worse, not better. Long silence. Dad, what do you want me to do? I want you to understand what you did wrong. And if I understand, then maybe we can rebuild trust. How long will that take? Longer than it took you to spend $18,000. Dad, Danny, I'm 78 years old. I've been building things my whole life. Houses, businesses, relationships. 68. What? You're 68, not 78. Right, 68, which means I have maybe 20 good years left. Dad, don't talk like that. I'm not wasting those 20 years on people who steal from me. Even if they're family? Especially if they're family. So what now? Now you decide what kind of son you want to be. What are my options? The kind who respects boundaries, or the kind who doesn't? And if I choose boundaries, then we rebuild trust slowly. And if I don't, then Selena Davis handles all future family business. That $18,000 was about to cost Danny a lot more than money. October 18th, Thursday afternoon. Danny calls at 2:15. Dad, I got a letter from the Ohio Real Estate Commission. What does it say? They're opening an investigation into potential ethics violations. Which violations? Undisclosed conflicts of interest, self-dealing, breach of fiduciary duty. I'm in my garage reorganizing the tool chest, everything back in its proper place. What does that mean for you? It means they're reviewing my development license. You have a development license? Limited commercial development license. I need it for the Morrison Properties projects. What happens if they find violations? Suspension. Possible revocation. I close the top drawer of the tool chest. Socket wrenches, properly arranged. Danny, what did Finn Morrison say about all this? He's distancing himself from the situation. How? He says the Maple Street purchase was my initiative. He was just facilitating a transaction for a colleague. Is that true? Dad, it's complicated. Is it true? Long pause. I may have presented it as a favor to a business partner. You told Finn I wanted to sell? I told Finn you needed to sell. For medical expenses? For liquidity purposes? Did you tell him about my other properties? I didn't know about your other properties. Did you tell him about the Wilson Properties business account? I didn't know about the business account. So you told Finn Morrison that your father needed to sell his house for financial reasons. I told him you were looking to liquidate assets. Based on what information? Based on the obvious situation. Which obvious situation? Dad, you're 68, you just had surgery, you live alone in a big house. So you made assumptions. I made reasonable assessments, and sold my house to your business partner based on those assessments. I facilitated a sale based on market conditions. I opened the second drawer, hand tools, hammers, pliers, adjustable wrenches. Danny, what's Finn Morrison saying now? He's saying he bought the house as a favor to me. A favor how? To help my father with a difficult financial situation. What difficult financial situation? The one I described to him, which was fictional, which was based on incomplete information you didn't bother to verify. Dad, how was I supposed to verify your financial situation? By asking. I did ask. You said you were worried about medical expenses. When did I say that? After the surgery. You mentioned the bills. I mentioned Medicare coverage questions. Same thing. Not the same thing. I closed the second drawer. Opened the third. Danny, what else is happening? Letitia's asking questions. What questions? About $18,000, about my business practices, about whether I've done this before. Have you? Have I what? Done this before. Dad, that's not a fair question. It's a simple question. It's more complicated than that. How? Real estate development involves a lot of family favors, friends helping friends, partners helping partners, with $18,000 commissions, with mutually beneficial arrangements. Danny, that's not an answer. The answer is no. I've never taken money from family members before. What about non-family members? Silence. Danny? Dad, I think we should focus on moving forward. I think we should focus on understanding the past. The past is the past. The past is how we got here. And where we are now is what matters. Where we are now is you're under investigation by the state licensing board because you filed a complaint. Because you took $18,000 from selling my house to your business partner. Dad, can you withdraw the complaint? Why would I do that? Because I'm your son. Being my son is why this matters. I don't understand. Danny, if you steal from family, you'll steal from anyone. I didn't steal. If you take advantage of medical situations with family, you'll take advantage of anyone. Dad, that's not fair. If you make financial decisions for family members without permission, you'll do it to clients too. I would never. You did it to me. Long pause. Dad, what do you want? I want you to understand that actions have consequences. I understand that. Do you? Yes. What are the consequences of taking $18,000 from your father? You're angry with me. What else? The family's upset. What else? I'm under investigation. What else? Finn Morrison doesn't trust me anymore. What else? Letitia's questioning my integrity. What else? I might lose my development license. What else?
I might lose future business opportunities. What else? I might lose your trust permanently. Now you're getting it. Dad, I made a mistake. What mistake? I took money I shouldn't have taken. What else? I made assumptions about your financial situation. What else? I didn't ask permission before making decisions for you. What else? I took advantage of your medical recovery. What else? I put my business interests ahead of your interests.
What else? I violated your trust. I closed the third drawer, opened the fourth. Measuring tools, levels, squares, measuring tapes. Danny, those are the consequences. I understand. Do you understand why they matter? Because trust is hard to rebuild. Because trust is the foundation of family. I know that now. Knowing it now doesn't change what you did. But it changes what I do next. Maybe. Dad, what can I do to fix this? You can start by returning the $18,000. And then you can prove you understand the difference between helping family and helping yourself. That $18,000 was turning into the most expensive education Danny Wilson ever received. November 1st, 3 weeks later. Danny returns the $18,000. Cashier's check from First National Ohio. He hands it to me in my kitchen without saying anything. The Ohio Real Estate Commission suspends his development license for 6 months. Formal reprimand for ethics violations. He'll need to complete continuing education on fiduciary responsibility before reinstatement. Finn Morrison dissolves their business partnership. Says he can't work with someone who misrepresents client situations. Letitia moves out of Danny's apartment. Says she needs time to think about trust and honesty in relationships. The family barbecue at Thanksgiving is quieter than usual. Danny comes alone, sits at the far end of the picnic table. Doesn't talk much about business, but he helps Janet clear dishes without being asked. And he offers to drive Rick to his doctor's appointment next week. And he asks me about my hip recovery instead of telling me what I should do about it. Small steps. The house on Maple Street? I bought it back from Morrison Properties for $1,500,000. Full asking price. Finn Morrison was happy to sell. It's a rental property now. Number 4 in the Wilson Properties portfolio. I've learned something important. Family respect isn't automatic. It's earned through actions, maintained through trust, and lost through betrayal. But it can be rebuilt, slowly, with clear boundaries and consistent behavior. Danny's learning that too. If you've dealt with family financial betrayal, let me know in the comments below. How did you handle it?